The woman who dominates boardrooms, commands meetings, and bends chaos to her will, often melts in the bedroom. You've seen her, confident, assertive, unapologetic. The kind of woman who doesn't ask for permission, who leads with certainty, who survives in a world that rewards sharp edges and emotional armor. She negotiates hard, speaks clearly, and never flinches under pressure. And from the outside, it looks like she wants control everywhere. But here's the contradiction most men never understand, and most women will never say out loud. What if that power is exactly why she craves the opposite when the lights go out? What if the strength you admire during the day is the same force that exhausts her nervous system at night? Because control isn't free. Dominance isn't natural rest. It's a role she has to maintain, defend, and protect every waking hour. And the body always keeps score. This isn't about sex. It's not about fantasies or positions or bedroom games. It's about psychology society refuses to admit. About biology colliding with identity. About what happens when a nervous system that's been locked in control mode all day finally looks for a place to exhale. Submission in its rawest form isn't weakness. It's relief. It's silence in the mind. It's the moment she no longer has to decide, lead, or manage outcomes. And the men who don't understand this mistake her desire for surrender as contradiction, or worse, insecurity. Stay until the end, because once you understand what's really happening beneath the surface, you'll never misread women again. The modern woman doesn't wake up powerful by accident. She's shaped that way by pressure, by a world that demands she compete harder, prove more, and apologize less. Career expectations don't reward softness. They reward precision, resilience, and emotional control. From the moment she steps into professional life, she learns that hesitation is punished and vulnerability is exploited. So she sharpens herself. She becomes decisive. She learns to lead, to negotiate, to stand her ground in rooms where weakness is quietly hunted. Power, for her, is not a luxury. It's a requirement. And it doesn't stop at work. Social competition runs just as deep. She's compared constantly by other women, by culture, by algorithms that measure her worth in attention, beauty, and success. Every move is evaluated, every mistake amplified. So she stays composed. She keeps the upper hand. She learns to project confidence even when she's tired, uncertain, or overwhelmed. What looks like dominance is often just discipline under fire, a refusal to be outpaced, outplayed, or outmaneuvered in a world that never truly gives her rest. Then there's emotional self-defense, the layer most men never see. She's learned, often the hard way, that emotions can be liabilities. Caring too much leads to disappointment. Trusting too easily invites betrayal. So she regulates herself. She controls her reactions. She doesn't let chaos show. She becomes self-contained not because she wants to be distant, but because distance feels safer than exposure. This is how the strong woman is built. Not from arrogance, from necessity. That's the part most people misunderstand. Her strength isn't ego, it's armor, a system designed to keep her functional, respected, and intact. Power isn't confidence. Power is survival. It's what allows her to move through demanding environments without being consumed by them. But survival mode is expensive. It taxes the nervous system. It keeps the mind alert, scanning, managing outcomes. Control keeps her standing, but it never lets her rest. And here's where the tension begins. Because what you maintain all day, you eventually need relief from. The same control that protects her during daylight becomes weight after dark. The same vigilance that keeps her winning becomes exhausting when there's nowhere left to perform. Beneath the competence, beneath the authority, there's a system that's been running hot for too long. And systems like that don't ask politely for rest. They demand it. This is where most men lose the plot. They see her strength and assume she wants more of it everywhere. They think control is her identity, not her burden. But strength carried non-stop doesn't feel empowering. It feels heavy. And sooner or later, the body looks for a place where the armor can come off, where control isn't required, where survival can finally pause. Society tells one story, but biology runs a different one. On the surface, the message is equality. Same roles, same pressures, same expectations. We're taught that desire should follow ideology, that attraction should obey language, that power dynamics are outdated concepts we've evolved past. And on a conscious level, many women believe this. They speak the language of independence, autonomy, and self-mastery because that's the world they've learned to survive in. But beneath words, beneath beliefs, the body doesn't negotiate with culture. It responds to wiring. Biology doesn't care what sounds fair. It cares about balance. It responds to polarity, tension between opposites, not sameness. When everything in her external life demands control, leadership, and constant decision-making, her nervous system stays locked in a state of activation. This is the sympathetic system at work, alert, vigilant, ready to respond. It's the same system that fires in competition, stress, and survival. And while it's incredibly effective in high-performance environments, it's not designed to run indefinitely without consequence. Control is not neutral to the body. Control is work. It requires focus, prediction, emotional regulation, and constant micro-adjustments. When she's in charge all day, managing people, outcomes, and impressions, her nervous system stays elevated, heart rate slightly higher, muscles subtly tense, mind always scanning. She may look calm, but internally, she's braced. This is why strength can feel exhausting, even when it looks empowering, because the body is paying a price for that control. Now contrast that with surrender. Real surrender doesn't mean defeat. It means release. When control is no longer required, the nervous system shifts into the parasympathetic state, the system responsible for rest, digestion, and recovery. Breathing slows, muscles soften, the mind stops racing. This is where healing happens. This is where the body finally stands down from alert mode. And here's the part most people get wrong. Submission isn't weakness. It's neurological relief. In that state, she doesn't have to decide. She doesn't have to lead. She doesn't have to anticipate consequences. Her system can finally let go of the burden it's been carrying all day. That's not a fantasy created by culture. That's a biological reset, and it's not optional. Because the nervous system always seeks equilibrium, you can override it with willpower for a while. You can mask it with identity and ideology, but you can't escape it. The body always collects its debt. If control is maintained too long without release, it shows up as anxiety, irritability, burnout, or emotional numbness. Something has to give. And when a man understands this, not intellectually, but viscerally, he stops seeing her desire for surrender as contradiction. He sees it for what it is, the body restoring balance after a day spent surviving. When her nervous system finally looks for a place to release control, it doesn't choose chaos. It chooses safety. That's why the bedroom becomes the threshold where she lets go. Not because it's sexual, but because it's contained, private, predictable in its rules. This is where earned dominance matters. Not the loud kind, not the performative kind, the kind that's felt before it's explained. Calm presence, grounded posture, emotional stillness that doesn't flinch when energy rises. A man who doesn't rush, doesn't react, doesn't seek permission for his certainty. His dominance is quiet because it doesn't need validation. This is where most men misunderstand submission and turn it into something crude. They think it's about aggression, about pressure, about taking. But aggression spikes the nervous system. Cruelty creates threat, and threat forces her back into control mode. That's the opposite of what her body is looking for. What she responds to is certainty, a calm, unshaken center that signals she doesn't need to manage anything anymore, that she can stop monitoring, stop leading, stop holding the frame. Because he already is. Here's the psychological flip that changes everything. She doesn't submit to men who want control. Wanting control is anxious. It's hungry. It's reactive. She submits to men who already have it. Men who don't need to prove anything. Men whose presence alone slows the room down. When he enters her space without urgency, when his voice lowers instead of rising, when his movements are deliberate instead of forceful, her nervous system reads the message immediately. You're safe to let go here. That's why the visual language matters more than words. A lowered voice instead of commands. Slowed movements instead of grabbing. Stillness over force. Stillness tells her there's no threat. Stillness tells her nothing needs to be managed. Stillness is what allows her body to downshift from vigilance into receptivity. And in that state, submission doesn't feel like being overpowered. It feels like being held. This is the paradox most men miss. The less he tries to dominate, the more dominant he becomes. Because dominance isn't something you do to her. It's something you embody so completely that her system responds on its own. And when that happens, letting go isn't a decision she makes, it's a reaction she can't stop. There's a reason she never says this part out loud. Not to you, not to her friends, sometimes not even to herself. Because the moment it becomes language, it collides with everything she's been taught to be. Social shame tells her that wanting to surrender contradicts strength. Fear of judgment warns her that admitting this desire will get her mislabeled, misunderstood, or diminished. And identity conflict seals it shut. Because how can the woman who leads, decides, and stands alone also want to disappear inside someone else's certainty? So she keeps the fantasy silent, buried beneath competence and composure. But the fantasy doesn't go away. It waits. And it's simpler than most men imagine. At its core, it's not about being taken. It's about being chosen, claimed in a way that doesn't erase her power, but gives it somewhere to rest. Guided by a man who doesn't need to overpower her, because his direction is already clear. The desire isn't to lose herself, it's to stop managing herself, not taken, allowed to stop thinking. That's the line her body understands, even if her mouth never forms the words. Outside the bedroom, her world is responsibility. Decisions stack on top of decisions. People rely on her clarity, her discipline, her restraint. She's required to stay sharp, alert, and in control because consequences are real and mistakes are expensive. There is no room to drift, no space to soften. Every move has weight, and she carries it well. But carrying isn't the same as resting. The the bedroom becomes the opposite pole, not an escape from reality, but a suspension of it. A place where the rules change, where she's given permission, not demanded, to disappear for a while. Permission to follow instead of lead, to respond instead of anticipate, to feel without evaluating what it means. In that polarity, something profound happens. Her mind quiets, her body exhales. The armor she wears all day is no longer required. This is why the fantasy feels forbidden, because it isn't about rebellion, it's about relief. And relief threatens identities built on endurance. But the nervous system doesn't care about labels. It recognizes permission when it feels it. And when a man creates that permission, without asking her to explain or justify it, the fantasy doesn't stay hidden. It comes alive, silently, powerfully, and without apology. Weak men misunderstand submission because they're chasing the outcome instead of embodying the condition that creates it. They hear the word and immediately think technique, pressure, performance. They try to dominate without presence, mistaking volume for authority and intensity for depth. They reach for control the way a starving man reaches for food. Urgently, clumsily, with need written all over their behavior. And the moment need enters the frame, submission becomes impossible. Because need is instability, and instability forces her nervous system back into defense. This is where force replaces certainty. Weak men push because they can't hold. They escalate because they can't stay grounded when energy rises. They mistake tension for threat and movement for leadership. But force doesn't calm her system. It alarms it. The body doesn't interpret grabbing as strength. It reads it as loss of control. And when she senses that, she doesn't soften. She braces. She becomes the leader again. That's why so many men complain that women are too masculine in bed, when in reality, they forced her there by failing to provide a stable center. Then there's the need for validation, the most revealing weakness of all. Men who watch her reactions too closely, who adjust themselves to be approved, who seek reassurance that they're doing it right. This isn't connection. It's insecurity disguised as attentiveness. And nothing kills surrender faster than a man who needs her permission to feel powerful. Here's the brutal truth most men don't want to face. If you need her surrender, you don't deserve it. Because real submission isn't given to be taken. It emerges when nothing is being asked for. This is where masculinity has to be reframed. Leadership without effort. Authority without explanation. The kind of presence that doesn't announce itself because it doesn't have to. A man who stays calm when things intensify, who doesn't rush to fill silence, who doesn't chase reactions. His nervous system stays regulated no matter what energy she brings. And that regulation is the test. Because she's not testing your strength, she's testing your nervous system. She's watching, often unconsciously, to see if you can remain grounded when she lets go. If you can hold steadiness without tightening. If your certainty is real or just a performance that collapses under pressure. Weak men fail this test because they try to act dominant. Strong men pass it because they don't have to try at all. There is a specific kind of man she submits to without being asked, and it has nothing to do with technique, dominance, or performance. It's an internal state she detects long before her mind tries to label it. He is calm under pressure, not because he's suppressing emotion, but because his system isn't overwhelmed by it. When intensity rises, he doesn't tighten. When energy spikes, he doesn't rush. His steadiness isn't rehearsed, it's lived. And her body recognizes that immediately. He's unmoved by emotion. not in the sense of being cold or disconnected, but in the sense of being unshaken. Her reactions don't throw him off balance. Her desire doesn't inflate his ego. Her resistance doesn't trigger insecurity. He allows emotion to exist without needing to manage it. That's rare. Most men either chase emotion or fear it. This man lets it pass through the room without losing his center. And that center is what her nervous system locks onto. He's also comfortable with silence. Silence doesn't make him nervous. He doesn't fill it with words, jokes, or explanations. He understands that silence isn't absence, it's space. Space for tension to build. Space for her system to slow down. Space where she doesn't feel watched, evaluated, or rushed toward an outcome. In that space, something subtle happens. Her body starts responding before her thoughts catch up. She feels it before she understands it. This is why submission isn't negotiated. It's evoked. He doesn't ask for it. He doesn't hint at it. He doesn't guide her toward it with instructions. His presence creates the conditions where letting go becomes the most natural response available. And because it happens beneath language, it feels inevitable, not coerced, not decided, just activated. This man doesn't see surrender as something he's entitled to. That's why it appears around him. He isn't performing masculinity, he's inhabiting it. His nervous system is regulated. His attention is grounded. His certainty doesn't fluctuate based on her reactions. And because of that, she doesn't feel the need to stay alert. She doesn't need to lead. She doesn't need to protect herself. When she lets go with him, it doesn't feel like loss. It feels like rest. And once a woman's body learns what that level of rest feels like in the presence of a man, it doesn't need convincing. It recognizes the signal instantly and responds without being asked. Here's the truth that collapses the entire paradox into one sentence most men aren't ready to hear. The stronger she is outside, the deeper she wants to rest inside you. Not because she's confused, not because she's conflicted, but because strength carried alone is heavy, and every nervous system seeks a place where it no longer has to perform. What she builds in the world is survival. What she looks for with the right man is restoration. And only a man who understands that difference will ever be more than tolerated. Most men will never understand this. They'll keep mistaking submission for weakness and dominance for force. They'll keep trying to extract desire instead of creating safety. They'll keep demanding softness from women they never made feel safe enough to soften. And that's why they're endured, not chosen. Listened to, but not leaned into. Respected in theory, but not desired in the body. Because desire doesn't respond to words or roles. It responds to nervous systems, and hers knows immediately when a man can't hold her weight. The men who fail here will blame women. They'll say women are contradictory, confusing, impossible to please. But the truth is simpler and more uncomfortable. Those men never became the place where control could finally be set down. They never built the internal stillness required to invite surrender. And without that, no amount of effort, performance, or ideology will ever get them past the surface. If this resonated, it's not because you learned a trick. It's because something already existed in you that recognized the truth. A recognition that leadership isn't loud, that authority doesn't explain itself, that real masculinity doesn't chase surrender. It makes space for it. You weren't built to beg for desire or negotiate attraction. You were built to lead by being unshaken when others are reactive, calm when others grasp, still when others rush. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about stripping away what never belonged there in the first place. The need for validation, the fear of silence, the urge to prove. When those fall away, what's left is the man women don't argue with, don't test endlessly, and don't need to control themselves around. Not because he dominates them, but because he frees them. Stay sharp. Stay dangerous. Subscribe.